Hey everyone, Cynthia Ray here, and today is Thursday. Today is my day for Thursday Live. So every Thursday I come on and provide a little bit of education depending on the theme of the week or the day. And today I've really been wanting to spend some time today and educate you all on nutrition basics. So really getting back to the basics and really understanding nutrition for what it is. A lot of times it's so easy to get caught up in the different diet trends. Should I eat carbs? Should I not eat carbs? Should I cut out my fat? Should I have healthy fats? Oh no, healthy fats are better, then fats are bad. Which types of fats should I eat? There's so much confusion as far as what is healthy nutrition. So I'm so excited today because it's beautiful outside. I'm up here in North Idaho and I'm looking outside of my office window right now in front of my computer and watching some lovely neighbors walk by. It's so sunny and nice. We've had a pretty good winter. It wasn't so bad, but I'm a native Southern Californian. So for me, winter was much different for me this year and I love the sun. So it's so nice to be outside and enjoying the weather. My kids are actually outside playing right now, which is really great. So I get to be here with you. And the other reason why I'm excited is because the launch of my brand new program, my signature program, it's been a year since I've been putting this thing together, called the Well Within Lifestyle Academy, is going to be launching its first group May 5th. It's Tuesday, May 5th. And this is a group or a program that is actually geared towards those who really have been on diets in the past and are looking for some breakthrough as far as weight loss goes. They've been on a bunch of diets, they've lost some weight here and there, but now they find themselves usually at their heaviest and are just tired of it, are done with it, and really want a weight loss breakthrough. So that program is for you if that is something that you have lived through or are living through. So anyhow, I just want to let you know that's coming up Tuesday, May 5th. And let me know. You can message me. You can comment below in the comments. Maybe I'll leave a little link at the bottom of this video with details on that. But anyhow, let's go ahead and get started. Let's jump right into nutrition. I have a deck of slides to share with you all and just really dive in. This is fun for me because it reminds me of my nutrition days back in school. And just learning the basics and learning how to get started with nutrition and my basic classes that I had early on. So I want to welcome you and let's dive into that. So let me get my slides going here for you. Oh, by the way, my name is Cynthia Ray. I didn't even introduce myself. My name is Cynthia Ray. I'm a registered dietitian and a fitness specialist. I also have a master's degree in public health and health education. And I love teaching. I love learning and I love giving back or educating on the things that I've learned. So this is so fun for me. I homeschool my kids and I had a private practice, a nutrition counseling practice for about 20 years in Southern California. I met with clients one-on-one and absolutely loved it. And it's been really great. So anyway, let me dive into my slides. It looks like my live video for Facebook is ending here. Let me see if I can fix this. Hang on one sec. Let me try to go live again. Hang on one sec. Sorry, guys. Okay, looks like we're gonna get back on here. So, anyhow, let me get my slides here for you. All right, here we go again. Okay, so yeah, so let's do some nutrition education and let me get my slides out here for you. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. I'm gonna actually go away, but I will see you soon. All right, here we go. All right, so welcome to this Nutrition Basics class today. And like I said, my name is Cynthia Ray, and I'm ready to dive in with you about basic nutrition. So let's go ahead and look at some of the basics that I was talking about. So today we're going to talk about things like what makes a meal, what makes a snack, what types of foods actually come into play here, and what types of foods are we eating and why are we eating them? For example, what's a carbohydrate? What's a protein? What's a fat? What does this all mean? And maybe even a little bit, we're going to talk about water and the health benefits of different types of fruits and vegetables, and the basics of nutrition planning, why it's important, and what we can learn from it. So let's go and dive in. I know, well, actually, this particular course was inspired because of my strong desire to get my kids to start eating veggies again. So since they were little babies and toddlers and everything, I was really good about making sure that their diet was balanced. Being a dietitian and all, and a mom, I wanted to make sure they were getting enough fruits and veggies in their diet, and also, carbohydrates and protein to balance it out. But as kids and human nature goes, we go for what tastes best. And with prepackaged foods and things, it's really easy to fall into a trap of going for a lot of carbs type foods that are easy to prepare and are really tasty and salty and have a lot of flavor. So this particular year, actually starting this new year, I launched back in with my kids to educating them back on the importance of eating vegetables, and not just because I was telling them, but because this is actually what our bodies need. So I shared some videos with them online, and they got to learn a little bit about healthy eating and things. So anyhow, I'm going to share that with you today. So let's talk about first what makes a meal a meal. So with this particular, I'm going to change my thing here. With this particular question, a lot of people actually wonder this, and they may not even say it out loud, but maybe in my practice we might have discussed this. But when I mention it, people wonder, what actually is a meal composed of? So a meal is actually composed of three or more things, actually. It can be composed of a carbohydrate, a fat source, a protein, and a vegetable. I kind of have this on the wrong weird space right here, but it's also a vegetable and or fruit. So as you can see on my little picture here, this little graphic of the My Plate from the US Department of Agriculture, it shows you what proportions of your food should be on your plate. So as you can see, there's grains, there protein, veggies, which is the largest component, and fruits, and then dairy. And I really don't believe you have to have dairy at your plate. I would say a glass of water would be ideal, and we're going to go into that in just a minute. So a meal is composed of these things: a carbohydrate, a fat, a protein, and a vegetable and or fruit. So that's what a meal is. And in contrast to that, I'm going to go the other way. In contrast to that, what makes a snack a snack? So a snack is a combination of 1 to 3 of the components of a meal. So for example, there's a picture here of berries. So a snack isn't a whole meal. It's not all the components on one. It's usually a proportion or a portion of those components of a meal. So you could have, some fruit. You can have a piece of bread with butter. You can have a rice cake with almond butter on it. And that's 2 things, right? So you can have maybe a glass of milk and a piece of fruit. That's 2 things. Maybe a glass of water and some hummus and carrots. That's another 2 things. So it's just a combination of 1 to 3 things that compose a meal. So it's not a whole meal. It's just a portion of a meal to keep you satisfied between meals. Okay, so that's actually what makes a snack a snack. So I just want to share with you some beautiful pictures of all the colors of fruits and veggies that are out there. And I'm going to explain to you why the colors are so important in the vegetables and fruits and how they serve us in our everyday health. All right, so let's get to the basics, kind of like the foundation of nutrition. So the foundation of nutrition are the macronutrients. That's one of the foundations. The macronutrients, and I'm sure you may have heard words like this before. The new term for this is macros. And it's funny, when I first started hearing that, I was like, macros, a lot of people on social media or different programs will throw that word around, macros. And I'm like, what's a macro? I'm like, oh, macronutrients. Because as a dietitian and being educated, the only thing I've ever really understood was the term macronutrients. So macronutrients are actually composed of, or they are, carbohydrate, a protein, and fats. Those are the macronutrients. Those are the large, macro meaning larger, bigger nutrients. So carbohydrates are, actually there's some properties of it. They're about 4 calories per gram. Ideally, they should compose about 45 to 65% of your diet. They are also found in vitamins, minerals, and fiber, or within that macronutrient. And you're going to find carbohydrates are bread, pasta, cereal, rice, and grains. And the interesting thing that I always thought was kind of cool and an easy way to think about this is, out of all the foods that we eat, everything contains carbs except fat and protein. So outside of bread, pasta, cereal, rice, and grains, and fats and protein, what else is there? So vegetables, fruit, those are actually also considered a source of carbohydrates. And even a carbohydrate can be considered dairy or milk products, because they have lactose in them, which are a form of sugar or carbohydrate. So carbohydrate essentially means sugar. And there's several different forms of sugar. I'm not going to get into all of them right now, but there's simple and complex sugars. That's just kind of a basic idea. Simple sugars are refined sugar, table sugar, candies, and sweet treats. And complex carbohydrates are food sugars. So breads, pasta, rice, cereals, fruits, and grains, and veggies. So that's more of a complex carbohydrate that takes a little bit more time for your body to break down. All right, protein. Protein should, your diet should consist of about 20% protein. And with protein, they're 4 calories per gram. So as you can see, they're equivalent in calories to carbohydrates. They just have a different function. So I'm going to go back to carbohydrates actually for a sec here. So the function of carbohydrates is actually to give your body energy. So whether it's energy right now in the moment, or if it's sustained energy for a future need. So for example, when you eat a piece of bread or any kind of carbohydrate, there's enzymes in your mouth that are there to break down carbohydrate and put it into your bloodstream in your mouth without even having to go down to your stomach. So you can actually get energy immediately from carbohydrates if you need it. You can actually get energy from carbohydrates too in a stored form. So carbohydrates are stored in our muscles as glycogen. They're also stored in our liver. So the carbohydrate form that is in our muscles is actually used for exercise. So it's stored energy and used for exercise. The carbohydrate that's stored as glycogen in our liver is actually used for if you get really hungry and there's not enough food around. It's kind of like a backup plan for energy. So before you get too dizzy and lightheaded, or when you are, your body will kick into kind of like a survival mode, and it will extract the carbohydrate that's stored as glycogen in your liver, and we'll use that for energy as like the second backup gas tank. So, but excessive intake of anything, and excessive intake of carbohydrates is stored as fat in your body as fuel. So that basically means eating it when you're not hungry, and overeating in general causes weight gain, of course, right? So carbohydrates are our energy source, and they're used actually for brain energy as well, and fats. So let's move on to protein. So protein, like I said, should compose about 20% of your diet. It's the same as carbohydrates. It contains 4 calories per 1 gram. And protein sources can be either plant or animal. And some of those are, for example, meats, beans, quinoa, legumes, and lentils. So legumes are kind of like beans and peas. Those are also considered really, really great, actually, protein sources. And there's also lots of protein in vegetables and certain fruits. So just because somebody's on a vegan or vegetarian diet doesn't mean that they're not getting enough of those proteins, because essentially there are enough proteins, or a pretty good amount of protein, in plant-based foods like beans and quinoa and legumes and lentils. There's actually a really good amount of protein in there. And the other thing too is the difference between proteins in meats and proteins in beans or a plant source is that with animal protein in meats, we actually can absorb them a little bit better. They actually have all the amino acids or protein source that we need for our body. They also have a type of iron, heme iron, that our bodies easily absorb. However, with plant protein, with the beans, quinoa, lentils, and legumes, it does not contain heme iron. So it's a different type of iron. And sometimes vegetarians or vegans may have to take supplemental iron or B12 supplements in order to get what they need that the plant protein is missing. So that's another issue. If you are a vegetarian or vegan, you may need to take supplemental iron or vitamin B12 to make sure your iron is good, as well as you're getting all the amino acids that you need from your diet for protein. So proteins are essentially used in our body to, they're building blocks basically of our body. So for the hard structural parts of our body, we need protein. So for our skin, hair, nails, bones, the structural components, cartilage, things like that, our body needs protein for structure. Not necessarily used for energy, but for our structure and muscle growth and cell development and cell reproduction, things like that. So we need protein, and also even for our blood cells, platelets, all that stuff require protein. Of course, our muscles too, for their optimal function and regeneration. And then we go to fats. So fats should take ideally about 30% of our diet, which when I first heard that in the 90s, when fats were like the thing not to have, I thought, wow, 30%, that's a large portion. That's larger than the amount of protein that our body needs. But these percentages are actually based on our physiological need, what our bodies need on the inside to function, not just based on a health fad or a diet fad. This is actually what our bodies need to function optimally for our well-being. And I'll get into how to balance that out for weight loss in a little bit. But so 30% fats in our diet. And as you can tell, fats are a little higher in energy. So they contain 9 calories per gram, so higher than 4 calories in carbohydrates and protein per gram. And fats are different types of fats. We have monounsaturated fats, polyunsaturated fats, saturated fats, and trans fats. And those are some terms that you may have heard in the past. They're pretty much thrown around in media, in magazines, and however you receive your information, or by doctors. And there's, like I said, there's 2 different types. There's monounsaturated and polyunsaturated. Those are the types of saturated fats that are found in nature. So saturated fats, essentially their property, you would know them by being liquid at room temperature. So if you have, like, for example, a glass bottle of olive oil on your countertop, you'll notice, and even if you put it in your fridge, it's going to remain liquid. So those types of fats are actually the healthy fats. Those are the ones that help to reduce your risk of heart disease. They're great heart healthy fats. So if you're looking for healthy fats, those are the ones. So those ones are found in olives, olive oil, avocado, nuts and nut butter, fatty fish like salmon. Those are the ones that you want to go for when you're looking for healthy sources of fats that are going to keep you heart healthy and your body moving strongly for the long haul. However, we also have saturated fat, which is opposite, right? So saturated fats are solid at room temperature. And so if you think about it, what kind of fats are solid at room temperature in your home? So, and if you put it in the oven or warm it up, that will melt. So those particular ones are things like butters. You think about it, if you put butter on your countertop, it's going to stay solid. If you put it in your oven, it's going to melt. Another one is coconut oil. Coconut oil is actually also saturated fat too. And there's still controversy about that. I know for years, um, it was touted, or is touted, maybe was, I don't know anymore, but is touted as the healthy fat that we can use for so many things. And we love coconut oil in our home. That's also saturated fat. It's solid at room temperature and melts when heated or a little bit warmer. So those are actually sources of saturated fat. Another source of saturated fat would be like lard from animals. So same thing, solid at room temperature, melts when you put it in the oven. Lard is basically animal fat. And also when you cook your meats, you would see, the marbling, like the little white portions in your red meat before you cook it. That's saturated fat. It's solid at room temperature, and when you cook it, it melts down. So you want to limit the amount of saturated fats you have. Don't eliminate them, but focus more in on the unsaturated, the monounsaturated and polyunsaturated, and limiting and enjoying to an extent the saturated fats. And then another one is the trans fats. So trans fats essentially are fats that are chemically composed. So they're not found in nature. They're actually made in a lab, and they are a form of unsaturated fats. But in the lab, they actually change the bonds within the fat molecule itself and make a unsaturated fat into a saturated fat. And there's a whole chemistry behind that, but I'm not going to get into that right now. But anyhow, trans fats essentially are not a healthy fat. It's something that you definitely want to avoid. They can contribute to heart disease and high blood pressure, things like that, elevated cholesterol. And trans fats are typically found in baked goods that are found in the store that are prepackaged baked goods like cakes and cookies and crackers, things like that contains trans fat. And you can even take a look on the box at the grocery store, whatever it is that you're buying, like a box of crackers or whatever, and see if it contains trans fat. So that's something you want to look out for. And that's why it's really important to, in general, to people always, preach whole food eating. And whole food is basically food that's as it is, and you just cook it instead of getting prepackaged or processed food, because that usually contains extra things in it that aren't good for you, like trans fats or food dyes, food colorings, and chemicals that help to preserve the food. So look out for those trans fats, and then keeping your monounsaturated, polyunsaturated as your healthier fats, and then saturated fats, limiting those, and really being aware of those trans fats found in foods. So that's it. So we have carbohydrates, protein, and fats. So carbohydrate for energy, protein for structure, and fats for, I didn't tell you this part. Fats are actually really great for cells in your body. Actually, not necessarily cells, but also for hormones. So they're the precursor for hormone production in our body. So we need fats also to warm ourselves. They actually line the external portion of our nerve cells, our nervous system. We need them for our brain. We need them for our heart health and body function. We need them for our joints, and they're just a great all-around thing to have in your diet, as much as protein and carbohydrate. So that's why I believe it's considered and necessary to have 30% of your diet from fats. All right, let's move on. So micronutrients. So micronutrients, you don't hear that word as much as you do hear macros these days, but that may change. Things are always changing with diet trends. So micronutrients are vitamins and minerals. The micronutrients are, micro is small, like microscopic. We've heard that word a lot. Micronutrients are the small nutrients that are found in vitamins and minerals. And the reason why we tell our kids to eat their vegetables is because they contain micronutrients or vitamins and minerals within the food itself. And it's those vitamins and minerals that we get our health benefits from, right? So my favorite fact I like to share a lot is with my kids and with my clients is that the color of the vegetables, you may have heard this before, maybe not, the color of the vegetables and the color of the fruit actually identify the vitamin or mineral that is in it. So for example, when you see oranges or lemons or citrus fruit that are more yellow and orange, those are high in vitamin C, because vitamin C in nature is that color, a yellowish orange tinge, and likes to live in vegetables and fruits. So a lot of fruits and vegetables contain vitamin C. One of the higher sources is broccoli, green leafy vegetables, and like I was saying, citrus fruits, lemons, limes, oranges, grapefruits, and those types of food items contain high levels of vitamin C, which are great for, again, kind of like protein. It's great for our structure, for our hair, skin, and nails, for our gums, and for repairing when we have a cut or a wound. Vitamin C is essential for that, along with vitamin K. So this picture of green beans right here that I have on this slide, these are actually high in vitamin C2 and fiber, which is really great for our system and for digestion, but also high in vitamin C. So vitamin C is also found in green, like I said, green type things. And what else we have? So things like that are orange, like orange or like harder, like carrots or squash, things like that are also high in beta carotene. So the orange things are actually the color of beta carotene or carotene, and we all know carotene for eye health. Also has a variety of other functions as well. So you really want to make sure to get as much color in your diet and make sure that the plate you're looking at or the plate you create in your meal is very colorful, has brown with protein, has maybe some brown or beige colors with your starches and carbohydrates, and then also have lots of color with your fruits and veggies. And you want to make sure that your plate is mostly color. So a lot of times in our American culture, we tend to use our protein as like the main star of our plate, right? But the main star of our plate actually needs to be vegetables and fruit, a lot of color. It has the most nutrients for our body and for preventing disease and for just general longevity and health. So if you want to have really great hair, skin, and nails, clear skin, and just general overall health and energy, going to colorful foods is what's going to give you that. And also managing your weight too, right? So we never really hear anything. You've never heard anything negative about eating too many fruits and veggies outside of not getting maybe enough protein in your diet or iron. But having a lot of those plant-based foods is always a great idea. So making sure that your plate is super colorful. It's filled with fruits, veggies, and also starchy veggies too. Starchy vegetables would be like sweet potatoes or white potatoes. Those are more of the starchy type veggies. And yeah, so as far as like veggies and fruit go, you want to make sure that you have a little bit more veggies than you have fruit. Since fruits do contain natural sugar, we want to limit, of course, the amount of sugar we have, but we also still want to enjoy the amount of nutrients that are provided in the fruit compared to another carbohydrate source, which would be, they call it empty calories, right? So some other carbohydrate source of empty calories would be like sugary type treats, which don't provide the same beneficial carbohydrate nutrients that you can get from fruits and veggies. So, all right. So that's the micronutrients. Micronutrients are vitamins and minerals, and also which are found in the fruits and veggies that we eat. All right, let's talk about water. Water, of course, is super important as well for your overall health. Some of the benefits, it just says here on my slide, helps to lose weight. It contributes to healthy skin, and when you drink plenty of water, your skin is just refreshed and shiny and bright and beautiful. It definitely fights infection. So whenever you're feeling sick, drink plenty of water. When we get dehydrated, actually limits our body's ability to help fight infection. It helps to get rid of body toxins, which again helps to flush all of those things out of our system and through our urine. A healthy heart, it prevents joint pain and arthritis, right? So the more lubrication we have within our joints, the less pain we have. Gives you more energy, that's for sure. You know, sometimes if I'm feeling dehydrated, I feel kind of sluggish and I think I'm hungry, but actually what I need is water. And when I drink something, I feel more refreshed. It kind of revitalizes you. Definitely prevents constipation, allows things to move through your system so that you have fluid to help it go through than just being backed up. Reduces your risk of cancer just by getting plenty of water in, and also improves your productivity. So which is interesting. I'm not exactly sure how, but you probably just feel more energized to have better productivity. So when I was working in hospitals and in my private practice, people would ask me, well, I just can't drink plain water. I don't like plain water. What do I do? And when it comes to what counts as fluid in your body, um, I would say there's a few different ones that I would go with, and I've learned in my training and have learned through practice. Is obviously fresh water is the number one. It's the thing that you want to go to first. Teas, whether it's hot tea or cold tea or iced tea, is another option. Broth type soups are considered a source of fluid. Jello even is considered a source of fluid. Non-sugary sports drinks. So I know Gatorade is the most popular one that people talk about and refer to as far as sports drinks go, but that's super sugary and full of artificial colors and flavors. So I would definitely keep an eye out for some alternative sports drinks. Another one, coconut water is a great alternative to sports drinks because it has all the electrolytes you need in it to replace any losses when you get sweaty or dehydrated. Or even it's great for when you're sick and you want to replenish lost nutrients from vomiting or sweating from being sick. Another alternative is sparkling water. That's a really great alternative if you don't really love just the taste of plain water. You can get sparkling flavored water that is unsweetened, and it's just basically water with added carbonation in it and some flavor without calories or sugar. So you can try that, or just try putting some, some fruits or some like cucumber, watermelon, pineapple, what else? Strawberry. People like to put that in water to kind of infuse it, pepper or mint with some flavor to give it a little bit of something. Even if maybe you just might like your water cold on ice, might be more refreshing as well. So if you don't love the taste of plain water, there's lots of alternatives or things you can do to give it a little bit of flavor to get enough water in. So the other question everybody asks is, how much water do I actually need? So we need about 15.5 cups for men, or 3.7 liters of fluid. So, and let me go back to, so also for women, about 11.5 cups or 2.7 liters of fluid per day. So the best way to measure that is just if you can get one of those water bottles, not like a plastic water bottle that's already filled with water, like a disposable one, but a water bottle that actually has measurements on it. And you can fill it up. Usually you can get a water bottle up to about 32 ounces. And it also have the liter measurements on there too. And you can use that as a way to see how much water you're drinking. So I would say for men, about 2 to 3, and for women, about 2 to 3. Well, I guess for about both, 2 to 3, maybe a little bit more of those 32-ounce water bottles. So the other thing too is when you're exercising, that actually takes into account too. So when you're exercising, you want to take in about, read one time, I think it's about 1/4 cup of water, 1 cup of water every 15 minutes of exercise to stay hydrated. And sometimes when we're exercising, it's hard to just stop to drink. But if anything, just take sips of water throughout your exercise to get enough water in. And the thing is too, your body will tell you when you're thirsty to drink more. But I've also heard too that by the time you feel like you're thirsty, your body's already dehydrated. So making sure you just drink water throughout the day, carrying a bottle with you wherever you go, drinking water between meals. Make sure to have water as your primary source of fluid during the day. So at dinner, things like that, just can help to ensure that you're getting a little bit more water in. And just having it visible in front of you is another good way to make sure to get plenty of water in. And also, it was kind of fun too, which I recommend to my clients in the past, is it's kind of fun if you get a water bottle that is fun. Like you go to the store and pick a really cute water bottle up or something that you really like, and you can enjoy, the colors, and just kind of makes it more fun when you have a fun water bottle, and you can carry it on with you as your little sidekick. So anyway, so just giving you some tips on how to drink water, why we need it, and what other sources of water that we can get. Okay, so going back to fruits and veggies. So I just want to share with you a little graphic here of different fruits and veggies and their health benefits. like I was saying, like lemons and limes are a great source of vitamin C. They're great for a healthy immune system. Carrots have a ton of vitamin A and are great for preventing eye disease. Cauliflower, I didn't talk about this one. Cauliflower contains something called glucoraphanin, which could be converted into sulforaphane to provide immune system benefits. So there's some little hidden things. I know, like sometimes people will say, well, what's in celery? It's just water and fiber. There's actually plenty of minerals in there too that are helpful for antioxidants and also electrolytes. So grapefruits, that orangey color, is a great antioxidant, and it prevents disease. And looks here, it says it has an important antioxidant benefit due to the presence of lycopene. So antioxidants, you might have heard that word thrown around too. Antioxidants essentially are anti-oxidation. So in our system, in our environment, we have what they're called oxidants. So oxidants actually break things down. So for example, if you have an apple and you slice it open and you leave it on the counter, it's going to oxidize, and oxidize meaning it's taking on oxidants. So it actually is changing into a more of a brown color, right? And that's actually it breaking down. So in our environment, within the air and in our environment, there are oxidants. And that actually contributes to our bodies breaking down or depleting our immune system. So it's important to take in foods that are antioxidants, such as grapefruits or things high in vitamin C, to prevent our body from oxidating or breaking down, for our immune system to breaking down too. So all of these things are really great for longevity and energy and just preventing disease. And when you get sick, eating fruits and veggies and limiting the amount of sugar you have helps you to be healthier and get healthier when you are sick much more quickly, and your symptoms will be much less than if you had a poor diet. Okay, now, so I've talked to you a little bit about, well, a lot about nutrition, basic nutrition, and carbohydrates and fats and proteins and fruits and veggies. But how do we actually do this? What does it actually look like? So for me, the best example of a well-rounded, life-giving, nutrient-providing diet and for weight management is the Mediterranean diet. And years ago when I was in college, and even recently in the seminars I go to for nutrition education, it always comes back to the Mediterranean diet. And I've even met with other physicians in my local area and for my daughter and for my husband, and discussing diet and things for them, for their condition. And we were laughing because everything she was describing to me was basically a Mediterranean, anti-inflammatory, basically, type diet that helps to prevent disease and get you better. So I always go back to the Mediterranean diet, knowing that this is the one we always end up going back to for health and longevity. So the Mediterranean diet is based on the diet from the people from Crete, Greece, and southern Italy, and also the Mediterranean countries like Israel and other Mediterranean countries around that. There's lots of little islands too within that area. So this actually is based on their diet in the 1960s-ish, because today their diet, unfortunately, is more modernized because of Western influence and culture. And they don't eat quite as they did then. But the reason why this became popular was because years ago in the 60s and 70s and 80s, because that wasn't that long ago, there was our physicians out here in the US were trying to figure out, what do we do about heart disease and how do we prevent it? So they went around the world and looked for populations that had lower risks of heart disease, and found that the people who lived in this Mediterranean region had a lower rate of heart disease, chronic disease, and obesity. So these are all fantastic things, right? And I believe they have lower cases of cancer as well. But this essentially is considered an anti-inflammatory diet. And inflammation, just to kind of throw this out real quick, inflammation, can occur when you hurt your ankle and all of a sudden it swells up. and inflames, right? Gets inflamed, it's inflammation, but inflammation also occurs within our bodies, not just on the outside. So inflammation occurs inside our bodies way, way, way before it actually surfaces on the outside in high blood pressure, in diabetes, in heart disease. Inflammation is happening when you don't have a healthy diet or lifestyle. You're not getting enough sleep. You're not getting enough exercise in. You're not getting enough fruits and veggies, and your body's stressed. So with all those things together, we're actually creating internal inflammation, which leads to chronic disease or a low or decreased immune system. So this particular diet is essential and beneficial to helping us through preventing disease, right? So this Mediterranean diet is an anti-inflammatory style diet. And however, the only thing is with this particular diet, if you take a look here at this little food pyramid that I have up here on this graphic, that the breads that they eat in Europe and in the Mediterranean are actually a different type of wheat than we have here. Unfortunately, the wheat we have here is full of GMOs or genetically modified organisms, which basically are the wheat that we had, the original wheat, like little wheat germ itself, has been modified genetically. Inside, the genetics have been modified of it so that we can produce more wheat to serve our population. It also makes it so they don't have to use as many pesticides, and it's more insect repellent. The only thing is that our bodies don't recognize this new gene form of wheat, and we're getting a lot of digestive problems like celiac and IBS and gluten intolerance, because these types of GMO seeds or wheat has a lot more gluten in it than it used to. And in Europe, they don't use this type of GMO seed or grain germ for the wheat. So their bodies recognize it. Here, our bodies don't necessarily recognize it, and the amount of gluten in it is way too much for our bodies to even tolerate. So we're seeing a lot of gluten intolerance happening these days. However, if you do purchase wheat that is imported from Europe or from these other countries, it will not have GMOs in it. I believe that's what I've heard, but that's what I believe. And I've heard that people who come from European countries here get sick from eating our wheat because it's not the same. But when they go back to their home country, they're fine. They have no digestive problems at all. So anyway, just want to share that. So at the bottom of their pyramid, they have their whole grains, bread, beans, legumes, nuts, and seeds. So it's not just bread. It's actually other starches with protein in them as well, which are the beans, legumes, nuts, and seeds, right? And a little bit of healthy fat. At the bottom of that, section, we have daily physical activity and eating with family. So this Mediterranean diet lifestyle or pyramid isn't just about food, it's about having a healthy lifestyle. So daily physical activity, moving around, gardening, walking, and spending time with family is actually a really big component of this disease preventative lifestyle. So having close connections with others has been proven and seen in many other countries to be a large factor in contributing to health and well-being and longevity. So just above the breads and things is fruits and veggies. So look how large of a portion of the diet that is. So lots of fruits and veggies. And then above that, we have olive oil. Of course, the Mediterranean diet, olive oil is really big. You can do avocado, olive oil, and then just above that are the fish. So another source of healthy fats is fish. Then a little bit more above that is even less of a portion of just weekly, it says here, weekly in moderate portions, chicken, cheese, and eggs. And just below that, as you can see, it says for fish, a few servings per week. And then for oils and healthy fats, daily servings of vegetables and fruits, and daily servings of whole grains, beans, breads, legumes, nuts, and seeds. And at the very top, we have special occasions or small amounts of meats and sweets. So it's interesting. When I first saw this, I thought, wow, the meats are with the sweets. In our old food pyramid, it was only sweets on the top. Um, the thing that they're missing on here too, which I was thinking about as well, is on the Mediterranean diet. Another pyramid I saw includes obviously exercise. They also have water, and they also have a glass of wine. So 1 to 2 glasses of red wine per day is what's recommended as part of the Mediterranean diet lifestyle. So all of these things are anti-inflammatory, they're disease preventing, weight, they prevent weight gain and obesity. So for me, this seems to be the best thing. It's a whole food diet. They do enjoy their sweets and meats on special occasions. So it's all encompassing. Everything fits. You just have to know in what proportions to allow them. All right. So finishing this out. So why is nutrition so important? And a lot of times, actually, what's most common is for most people, flavor is more important than nutrition, or taste is more important than nutrition, right? So if something tastes good, they're more likely to eat it because it is good, right? But we have to find that balance between being good and being good for your health and tasting good, right? So you can find plenty of recipes out there. Sometimes people will associate veggies with no taste, or not exciting enough, but you can definitely make them more exciting by adding more flavor to them, adding healthy fats to them. So when you're baking or broiling veggies, adding a little olive oil and salt and pepper to them makes them really tasty. So it's just finding that balance between taste and health. So you can definitely go on Pinterest or go on, just Google healthy, tasty veggie recipes, and you can find plenty of things on there that might appeal to you. So nutrition is important because it provides with good energy. Most people want more energy, usually because sleep isn't good, there's too much stress going on, and their diet's poor and not exercising enough is why energy gets depleted. But if you're um, getting plenty of sleep and eating well, you're going to have, and drinking plenty of water, you're going to have plenty of energy. Good immunity is actually a huge reason. We talked about that, like eating the fruits and veggies that are full of antioxidants that will help you prevent disease. That's just the next one, disease prevention. Regularity, right? If you're constipated or have a struggle with digestive problems, eating lots of fruits and veggies and whole food will eliminate that. Of course, nutrition is great for stamina in your workouts, right? If you're not having enough food in your diet, or if you're dieting and exercising and you're not getting enough calories, the purpose of your workout is kind of thrown out the window, right? So we want to get a good workout in to add plenty of muscle and burn calories. But if you don't have enough energy or enough calories or enough food, you're not going to get the results from your workout that you really want. Of course, for longevity, right? So if we have good energy, we have good immunity, we're preventing disease, we're drinking plenty of water, our hair, skin, and nails are fantastic, then you're going to have great longevity and great quality of life. So, all right. So the key points, just to kind of review, is to fill your plate. This plate here has plenty of color, right? So fill your plate with lots of color. Get your healthy fats in regularly, drink plenty of water. Sometimes too, people think that they're hungry, but they're actually thirsty. Listen to your body's hunger and fullness cues for when to eat and when to stop eating, knowing that you can eat more when you're hungry again. So eating again is always an option, but you don't have to eat it all right now. Making sure to eat before you get too hungry. And I know sometimes it's hard to do, and sometimes we have, times where we get too hungry and then we end up eating too fast and too much. But make sure that have snacks with you at all times, just in case you get stuck in one of those situations, to prevent yourself from getting too hungry. Drink plenty of water throughout the day. Drink when you exercise. Limiting your alcohol intake to 1 to 2 glasses per day. They usually say 1 for women and up to 2 glasses of red wine or beer or alcohol for men and women. So 1 for women and 2 for men. And consume adequate carbohydrates and healthy fats. I know carbohydrates have gotten a bad reputation over the years because of weight gain, but we actually need to have enough. For me particularly, if I have too much wheat, I get really puffy and tend to put on weight. But for me, if I have my carbohydrates in the source of fruits and veggies or starchy vegetables like sweet potatoes, beans, and baked potatoes, I'm pretty okay. So I'm getting enough carbohydrates in my diet that way. And of course, exercising for at least 30 minutes, at least 3 to 5 days per week to get your whole workout in and get plenty of energy and build that strength and stamina for your life. So I think that's it. So please let me know if you have any questions. And if you want to know more about nutrition, I just kind of skimmed over the surface. There's definitely more to talk about with nutrition and fitness and weight loss and wellness and all this great stuff. But just really getting in those vegetables, making sure you have a lot of color on your plate. And I do have a great resource if you need more, what's it called? If you need more recipes, I have a link. I can maybe add that below as well to some recipes for veggies that are pretty tasty if you're getting bored with what you're eating, and also some really great sweet treats that it's involved in that recipe booklet as well. And it's kind of some sweet treat alternatives that you can enjoy and bake and cook. And what else do I have? If I have any more resources for you, I'll put those also in the link below so you can enjoy that and get some more ideas. Anyway, it was great talking to you, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Take care. Bye.